Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just gonna call this story the proposal. Um, and I mean, it's really not, I guess it's not too much of a story because it's true, but I just wanted to share it. Uh, Maybe it'll help somebody else out. Um, but for more importantly, it'll help me out. I need to get this off my chest. I need to release it so that way um, I can move forward and not be stuck because I feel like I'm stuck right now because um, I'm letting this event in my life hold me back. But so we'll just start out in that period of time in my life where I was depressed. 2013, I just got my wife pregnant after she found out that she couldn't have babies. She was told that she would never be able to have a child, bear a child. At that time, I was heavy into church. I was, directing the men's ministry. I was, you know, studying under my pastor at the time, and you couldn't tell me anything as far as, oh, the doctor said you can have a baby. So what? I don't care what the doctor says. We're going to believe that you can have a child. We're going to be confident that you can have a child, and you're going to have a child. I pulled up Samuel, um, the story of Hannah, where she said to God, if, I can't have a baby, my womb is barren, but if you allow me to have a child, I'll give him to you. I'll hand him over straight to you. So we meditated on that. We prayed on that. We focused on that. We tried to have a baby. She got pregnant. Um, so you really can tell me anything about nothing at this point. Like, I know God is real. Um, Defies what the doctors say. You don't care about your books and your theologies and what you heard somebody say from any kind of community, whether it be comedic, scientific, conscious, don't matter. You can't. What you saying don't matter. My life experience shows me different. But so that happened. Um, but it still didn't stop, an attack from being put on me because we were going through things spiritually and it manifested itself naturally. And I couldn't understand it. I didn't know how to fight it. Um, and I didn't handle things properly. Even to the point where people started lying on me and saying I was doing stuff that I wasn't doing, but that's neither here nor there. Um, but looking back, I clearly see the plan. But in any situation, after she shortly got pregnant, um, we split. Not necessarily because I wanted to, but she just disappeared. So I went through a depression for about 4 months. I lost about 40 pounds. During this depression, I talked to somebody different, and um, we ended up going through. We were going through the same pretty much type of situation, just spousal neglect or whatever you want to call it, or spousal. Whatever our spouses were on some other stuff. So we got together and we're friends, and it eventually became more. Um, and I got even more convicted by that. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, I need to get taken out of this. So one day I just prayed. I started feeling so low about myself. I started feeling like I was nothing. I went from doing this and, proclaiming to be this man to my worst fear, which is what I hate. People who say one thing and do another. I hate that. I'd never want to be that kind of person. So I was being that person that I hated, and it made me, it depressed me. I'm like, I talk about people who are acting like me right now. Um, so I prayed. I was like, man, God, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to go. Just please get me from here. Get me from here and do what you have to do with me to get me back to where you need me to be. But just take me from here. However you do, I don't care how you do it. So the next day, um, I was, well, okay, let me rephrase that. I'm in the kitchen. And I know it's gonna sound corny to some people, but I'm in the kitchen, and while I'm just in the kitchen. I'm over the sink, like I was washing dishes when I had this happen. You know what I mean? So I didn't care. I'm just like, man, God. And I look up after I finished praying, and it was, the electrical line, the pole that hang from the electrical line. But when I looked up, it was, a cross, right? I knew it was an electrical line and all that stuff, but that's not what I saw. I saw a cross. So I'm like, okay. The next day, um, the girl's daughter, one of the girl's daughters, gave me this. And granted, this girl's daughter actually didn't, at the time, she didn't really even know how to read and write like that, to know what she was doing. Um, but she just gave it to me. And this is what it says. I posted on Facebook and I posted on my Instagram too, but this is what she gave me. Now, it wasn't in that order, but it was like a handful of cards, and I just put them all out, and I just like, wait a minute. So, um, later on that night, we were having like a little party or whatever, get together. Of course, I was getting drunk because I was still stressed out. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do. And there were some altercations that night, yelling and screaming in the front. It wasn't by me, but there was a lot of yelling and screaming in the front done. The neighbors called the cops. I ended up getting arrested from an old bench warrant from like 2004 that got brought up again. And because they ran my name, because I was out there talking to the cop, I ended up getting arrested. And at first I'm like, man, really? You're going to arrest me, man? It's December 19th. It was December 19th, like the week before Christmas, you know. You going to arrest me right now, bro? Like, I'm not, what I do? This ain't even for me. So not only did they arrest me with that, they tried to charge me with uh, I think it was disorderly conduct or something to do with disturbing the peace, something like that. The charges ended up getting dropped later on, a squash, but I had to wait and I could not get bonded out. My bond was only like $50, and nobody could bond me out or would. And at first, I was angry, I was frustrated, I was pissed. Like, y'all niggas can't get $50. Y'all what? And then I started realizing, well, I did ask God to separate me from some things, and I literally had no time with Him alone since I got depressed. This is the only time that I had alone with Him, and He needed to separate me. So I understand now why nobody was allowed to bond me out. But so I'm in jail, and I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in jail before. So I'm in a pod, and it's like 30 rooms, like 4 beds to a room. So I'm in there, and there's so much negative energy in jail. There's so much stuff going on in jail. You don't know what people are carrying, what they're believing in, what they're bringing in. So there's so much negative energy in jail. So when I get there, I've been there multiple occasions in my younger years. So when I get there, I adapt. So I already knew what to do. I knew I was gonna start having dreams. So I started writing scriptures on my wall. I started praying. I was back in the Word. I was talking to God more because really, we're just me and His time at this point. Is the only time that I had with Him, and I was working overnight. So when I got to jail, when everybody else was asleep, I'd be up. So literally, like it was for the first couple of weeks. My schedule ended up switching. Or the first week, my schedule ended up switching. I got back onto the regular, sleeping at night, up during the day. But for a while, it was just I would just up and it'd just be me, and I'd be, writing uh, poetry, thoughts, Bible studies, studying the Word. That's what I was doing. That's all I was doing, praying, talking to God the whole time. I was trying to avoid everybody, but basically, so when, like, I think it was like 6 in the morning, maybe, is when they allow you to go into the day room. So whenever that they would turn them lights on, I know I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go out there. I finally got a flat surface to write on. I don't have to be uncomfortable in this bed trying to write this and match this with that or whatever situation may be. So every day there used to be this older Mexican gentleman, kind of heavy set. He used to always like use the bathroom at the same time every day. He'd always see me out there. He smiled. I wouldn't say anything to him. He wouldn't say anything to me, but he just smiled. And a couple of days later, um, a guy just walked into my pod, and I walked to my room and was like, "Hey man, we're having a Bible study tonight, right before chow. So if you want to join, just come." I'm like, "All right." And I really didn't want to go because I know how I can be. Because when I study, I'm kind of a nerd with it. I can be seen as dogmatic or judgmental or whatever with some of the things that I think or say. So I'm like, I'm not trying to go there. And if somebody says something that I know for a fact is incorrect, I'm gonna want to correct them, and then it's not gonna be a Bible study. So it's gonna be a debate, and that's not what people are. Nobody cares about no debate. They just want to hear something that's uplifting. So I'm gonna let them just do them. I'm not gonna go. So I wasn't going the first couple times. I don't care about that. Y'all have y'all Bible study, and I'll have mine. And but that day I was fasting, and I'm like, I guess I'll just go over there. I'll stay on the outside and I'll just listen. And maybe somebody will say something to me. Or maybe somebody will say something that I can take. And so I get there, and the moment that I step into the room where everybody else was at, that same man was talking to all the guy that I see in the morning, the heavy guy. I didn't know he taught the Bible studies. So when I walked in, he was like, there's a guy that I always see reading his word, and he doesn't bother anybody. He's not out there being crazy and cussing and doing all of this stuff like everybody else. And he has a peace about him. And I know that he's not doing all that research for nothing. He has to have something for us. And I was going to give the floor over to him. And he just like, "Can you teach?" And I was like, "Bro, I didn't come here for in my head, I'm thinking I didn't come here for that. When I joined church, I didn't join church to do anything. I joined church to just, my daughter came back. I wanted to stay out of trouble, and I wanted to try to get my life right and not be so ratchet. That's why I joined church. I didn't join church because I wanted to be seen, known, or preach or anything in front of anybody's pulpit or be in front of anybody. I don't even like talking in front of people like that. So I did it anyway. And then as soon as I started talking, it started flowing out, and I got into the rhythm like I normally do when I teach or when I would preach. I'd be nervous at first, and then after a while, I'm like, okay, I'm cool now. So after that, they just asked me to continue to teach the Bible study, and then people would come to me and ask me for prayer. People who couldn't even speak English would come with translators and say, "Hey, can you explain this verse to me, or can you explain the scripture, or ask me questions?" Just simple stuff. Who were the Nephilim? Just I'm answering different questions, and guys are allowing me to do these things. So I'm building my confidence back up. Whereas I was depressed and I was doubting my whole purpose and reason for being on this earth in general. Like, how can you be a man of God and supposed to be a preacher? You can't even handle your marriage and your wife. You can't even take care of that. How you can take care of a flock? So I'm beating myself up, and I'm getting depressed over this. And slowly but surely, God is building my strength back up to let me know He can still use me. So in our pods, like, we have a term called rolled out. And rolled out is when you get moved from one house to another. Normally it's because you did something wrong or because you requested it. Rarely is it just done because it's just done. Like, you just get rolled out with no explanation. There was a guy that was in the bunk next to me, because it's in the room. Like I said, it's 4 beds. So 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top, and like a little where you can walk through and climb up or whatever. So the guy that was next to me got rolled out for nothing. Nobody knew he got rolled out. Everybody was questioning, like, what's going on? Nobody knows. Like, thinking somebody may have snitched. Now somebody might go in the banyo and get, chin checked because somebody's snitching, or we're trying to figure out what happened. And I'm talking to the dudes in there, and we talking, and I'm cracking on myself, like, I found Jesus again in jail, you know what I mean? Now, the jail preacher, the jail ministry, baby, you know what I mean? Come to jail and find God, you know what I'm saying? Because, and get right back out there and be smoking and drinking and doing all this stuff, I'm making fun of myself, but I'm thinking about it as well, like, but I know that guys do that to, separate me and give me a long time. I didn't realize how much I was being bombarded by technology and people around me, and how much different things were taking me away from just that regular relationship. And that's where I got my strength from again. But anyway, so that guy gets rolled out. And then another guy comes in. He does not look like he belongs in jail. He looks suspect. He looked like the cops in stripes. Older white guy, long hair, very. You can tell he was clean, like he wasn't broke outside of jail. Um, so, but he didn't say anything to anybody. Nobody knew what he was there for. He's in the bed right next to me. Now, when you go to jail, they give you like a card, and it normally has what your charges are on it, right? So normally, you know, if nobody wants to tell us what the charges are, we just try to wait till they go away and we find where their card is at and figure out what they're in there for. So, his card was blank. And I know they say normally, like, you know, maybe his charge with another county or something like that, or whatever situation may be, but his card was blank, all but his name. And um, he didn't speak to anybody, nobody, nothing. Ate, slept all day, didn't talk to nobody. Um, so one night, like after like a couple of days of asking, they asked me to pray for our whole house, all 100 people. So we in there, we all hold hands, and I lead in prayer. We pray before we go to sleep. You know, I'm praying over everybody and stuff like that, talking about dreams, stuff, and I'm just whatever's coming out of me is what I'm saying. So after I finished praying, you know, people clapping, a couple people were crying, a couple people came to me and was like, man, look, like when you said this about the dreams, I felt it. I know, like you don't even understand. That's exactly what I've been going through, and I didn't even talk to you, man. So people started coming to me and, you know, confiding in me and telling me all kind of stuff, and I'm like, I gotta go to sleep. Um, and So when I turn around and go in my room this time, now granted, the guy that used to sleep above me, he be up all the time, talking, running his mouth, like, shut up, bro. But this night he was knocked out along with the other guy. And the dude that was that nobody knew about was in the room this time, wide awake, sitting there in meditating position at first. And I walk in and I'm like, I just felt something like this. The first persona that I got of this guy was negated by what I felt spiritually when I walked into that room that time. So then he opens his eyes and he says to me, do you know who you are? And I was like, he's like, man, you are very charismatic. You are very charismatic. When you talk, people listen to you. Even if they don't like it, they listen and they respect and they trust you, the ones that believe in you. And that's very powerful. And he said, you know, then he started going into like people like Farrakhan, Gandhi, you know, Martin Luther King. These men were sent by the gods to guide mankind in a certain direction when they get off course, or to make sure that the human is still in alignment with the universe or whatever. And and then he would go on to compare me to, he like, have you ever, you know, because he told me about the issues that me and my wife were having that nobody else could explain without me even telling him anything. And he's like, has your wife ever mentioned Farrakhan to you, or, you know, say anything about you being similar to Farrakhan? I'm like, first of all, bro, I'm like, no, because first of all, I don't want to be like Farrakhan, or I don't want to be famous like that. Two, I don't want to feel like you trying to put my head up. And he's like, no, that's not what I'm doing. Like, I'm not, you're not going to just, like, I'm not, oh, you think I'm like Farrakhan? Tell me more. Like, I don't care. So he's like, well, I mean, I know that's not what type of person you are, but that's why you're good. And then he started going a little deeper, and he was like, and he started talking about metaphysical stuff, spiritual stuff, elements, different things, kind of going over what was happening to me and why I was being attacked. And most of the attacks on me were illegal. Spiritually, they were illegal. Like, spiritual laws were being broke in the attacks that I was going through. And he was like, I specialize in building civilizations. And the mind in me wanted to be like, man, if you don't get your meth head white boy, get out of here with that. But the spiritual aspect in me could not ignore that there was an element of truth to what this man was saying. even as crazy as it sounded, there was an element of truth to what that man was saying when he referred to building civilization. So I said, okay. I could not listen to his proposal. Like spiritually, he had like a spear on my side and I could not move. I had to listen. So he said, I specialize in building civilizations. And if you want to figure out whether civilizations, whether to move on or not, you give them two options. The first option is if you want to live a normal, regular life and be happy and, just work and live and blah, blah, this and just be mundane and, be protected and safe, then you'll choose this life. And we'll tell you what to do. We'll tell you what to believe in. We'll tell you this. We'll give you all the comforts of a regular life. And then, but if you want to be like us, like gods, come this way and we'll show you how to do that. And you'll see the people migrating to what they migrate towards, and that determines the ability for a civilization, or the how can I say this? The level that they're at when it comes to progressing. So we're going on continuously in this conversation, and the more I talk, the more his spiritual presence like is illuminated. Like it's just like, but I didn't feel easy, I didn't feel easy. I wasn't scared, but I didn't feel easy. Like it was almost like I don't know. I couldn't decode it. It felt like I was just stuck in a trance, and I felt like I was control of what I was saying, but I couldn't lead this conversation. Like I couldn't just get up and go nowhere. I had to be there. And he's like, then he asked me one question, like, so when you look at me, what do you see? Because he's like, I know you're very. He's like, you're very clairvoyant, and you can read people. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's a gift and a curse. He's like, and you're wise enough to know that it's a gift and a curse. And what do you see when you see me? And he knew that I couldn't answer it, which it kind of scared me because I've, say whatever you want to say, but I've encountered since my young age all type of spiritual or energy, whatever you want to call them. I've encountered them since a young age, since like 8. I can remember. Like I know I know. So it doesn't matter if people say, "Oh, ghosts don't exist or demons don't." I don't care what you think, but you're not going to be able to negate 22 years of my life where I had to deal with these things sometimes on a regular basis. You're not going to tell me that was fake because you haven't seen it. It just means that you ain't have. Maybe that's not your area. Maybe that's not what was meant for you to see in this life. Maybe that's not your area of expertise. Maybe that's not your strength. Maybe it's my job to handle this stuff that you don't have to deal with it, me and others. But he's like, I did want to ask, I'm like, so you say, Farrakhan stuff. So who was Jesus? He was like, Jesus is one of those people that, when you sent by the gods and you just think that you're it, when you think you're the real God, that's who Jesus is. I don't, he said nothing positive about Jesus at all. He didn't deny Jesus existed, but he said nothing positive about him. Not at all. Almost disrespectful. No other person other than Jesus. So he then asked me, have I ever heard of Freemasonry? I said, yeah. He said, you've heard of the O.T.O? And I said, yes. He gave me his name, told me some books to read. And told me to look up his lodge when he gets up, when I get out. When I get out, he gave me his phone number, he gave me his name, he gave me his address, he gave me the books that he wrote. Told me to look him up. And said, even if you don't even don't look me up, just get into a Masonic lodge and I'll find you. And I said, well, I don't want to, I'm not joining. I've heard about that stuff. He's like, no, it's not like that. It's not devil worship. I'm like, but you guys do sacrifices, don't you? Yeah, we do sacrifices, but it's not like that. It's not how they try to make it. We're not killing babies and, killing family members. I'm like, if I have gifts, I know. I'm not using them for bad. I'm not using them for evil. He said, well, your conception of evil is wrong. I was stuck. I didn't know what to think. I couldn't commit to him. I was not going to commit to him, and not whatsoever. And I damn sure wasn't about to go and join any Masonic lodge or any fraternal order. But I won't lie and say that the man wasn't extremely convincing. And while I talk and I say it like this, I don't think there's a way that you could understand the depths of understanding that wasn't even spoken when me and him were talking. He was saying things and I was understanding them on the whole different levels. I share that story for those who think that there's no truth behind the recruiting and the manipulation of those with power or gifts they may not know about or have not tapped into yet. Your enemy knows who you are. The next day, so we finished the conversation, and even though I say to him, like, I don't think that's for me, brother. I don't think that's for me. He says, don't worry. You have my information. Look me up when you get out. So I go to sleep. I wake up. He's gone. He's rolled out. He served his purpose. He was sent to jail where I was at. That's not coincidence. When I got out, because even getting out was a crazy thing, because after he left, another guy came in his replacement, and it was a Mexican dude, Paisa dude, couldn't speak no English, but he was doing essentially the same thing that I was doing on my end with the Paisas. So I was teaching a Bible study for the blacks and whites and Mexicans, and he was doing it for the Paisas. So he would just randomly wake up in certain days and give me scriptures, and it would always apply to what I needed at that time, giving me strength because I was going through it, because I still was kind of frustrated that I felt like nobody was there for me. But then like I said, I ultimately realized that God separated me for a purpose, and he wanted to speak to me directly and show me some things. But I could not get past that proposal. When I got out, I started staying with a friend of mine around 36th Street in McDowell. Maybe like a month after I got out. So I'm there, and I go walking to the liquor store that was next to the house. Right, I'm walking to the liquor store, and when I leave my apartment complex, there's this heavily armored dude just standing at the stoplight, gun out, AK out. I'm talking about like he looked like he just got like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. He just dropped from the Iraq war onto the street. So I'm like, so I'm walking. I'm like, what is this dude doing? Like, why is he still? So as I start walking closer to him, then he starts walking exactly where I'm going. So I walk and I hit the corner and I see he's walking in front of me. He's like maybe 30, 40 feet in front of me. And he's just walking in front of me. And he goes as far as the liquor store, which is where I'm going, and stops and waits. And I'm like, part of me want to turn around, part of me thinking like, did I do something else? Like and I go into the liquor store, I come out, and he's not there. If you wonder why I'm a conspiracy theorist, if you wonder why I'm so passionate about some of the stuff that I say sometimes, that's a big reason why now. Even more than before. That was real. It was no fake make-believe dream. This is an encounter that I had in real life. A real proposition, a real proposal to be a part of the O.T.O and join the Freemasonic Lodge. Because of what I was able to do in jail, in that environment, with that many evil spirits in it, and still bring about a sense of unity and peace. They were doing commissary fights before I got there. When I got there, they stopped. There were no more fights. There were no more problems. There were no more nothing. And there were people that I had Facebook friends now that were in jail with me at that time that know that what I'm saying is not a lie. I say this really to encourage myself, but also to encourage you. If you have a gift, you have an adversary. And they may not always come in the form of opposition. They may come flattering you. They may come giving you, boosting your head up. They may come to you seeing things in you that you can't even see and wanting to exploit and manipulate them while telling you that they're giving you the ability to enhance them. He said to me, he wanted to use me for intergalactic counseling. I know it sounds stupid. He said he wanted to use me to go to other civilizations as a representative. Like bridging the gap between two different universes or two different planets or two different species or two different whatever you want to call it, to use me in like what, like if this was Star Wars, then I'd be on like the what do they call that, the Senate. I mean, yeah, you could say he probably was a meth head, but we know what meth heads are like when they have withdrawals in jail. He wasn't going through that. He was no meth head. That man was too clean to be a heroin addict. I know what to look for. Their toes. I know what to look for. Fingers. I know what to look for. Just because you haven't experienced something or because you haven't been touched by something of this magnitude doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, and doesn't mean you should write people off that do when they tell you. I don't care if you believe me. I know it's true. I don't have to lie about it. Why would I have to lie? What do I gain? It's not like people are gonna give me money because of this. It's not like people are gonna be like, oh, Brandon, because the people who believe in me, they've been believing in me. And people who don't, they're not gonna believe in me, no matter what. I'm not here to convince people of me. But I'm connecting these dots for a reason. And when the last little piece of that puzzle gets together, and I'm gonna be fully my purpose, it's not gonna matter whether you believe me or not. Just because you don't know that your next door neighbor may be blowing up building a bomb, don't mean that when it goes off next door, you won't be hit. You ain't got to know what your neighbor's doing for it to affect you. Just because you're not aware of something, doesn't mean that you won't get hit by it. Just because you don't believe in something does not mean it won't affect you. Your non-belief does not take away from the possibility of you being affected by one's belief. You don't have to believe in voodoo to be cursed. I appreciate you listening to me. I appreciate you taking your time to 35 minutes for me to draw out this story. But it is for encouragement. It is why I have no interest, even more, in anyone associated with any Masonic lodge or any of that group, because it's all the same. You just have not been given the initiation rites or the knowledge that the upper has. Or when you get to a certain level, you may be veered off onto another path based off of who you are as a person and what you're willing to sacrifice and do. And I'm sure, I promise you, whatever's inside of you, they already know. Trust me, because when that man was talking to me, I swear to God, it felt like he was in my living room for the past 5 years of my life. He knew everything about me. We got to take this stuff serious. We got to realize that the enemy is strategic, just like I can't emphasize it enough. I can't say it enough. You don't have to believe me. But what I will say is that that's not even a factor in this situation, whether you believe or not, because it's true. It's true. There's probably somebody conscious right now saying, bruh, you just got offered a trip to Ascension. One of the gods came down and basically giving you the blueprint to get in that Stargate. So you have the perfect balance. However you want to look at it. But there's an element of real that you know nothing about. And you shouldn't discredit those who do. Because it scares you. I know it scares you. You know how I know? Because I've been dealing with it my whole life and it still can scare me. I'm talking about from 8 years old, waking up and having the same dream every night for like a year. Seeing the same demons, seeing the same things manifest in different shapes and play with me and toy with me and torture me in my sleep. Not in no dream state, right where I'm at in my room. To where my prayers when I say my prayers at night, I still say how I said it when I was a kid. Now let me down to sleep. I pray, Lord, my soul to keep. If I stop before I wake, I pray, Lord, my soul to take. Thank you, God. I hope you love me. Oh, thank you, God and Jesus. I hope you love me. You already know about the dreams and stuff. Every night I would pray to God that he would take these dreams away from me, to the point to where it became a uniform prayer for me to say, you already know about the dreams and stuff. To the point to where when I didn't say that prayer, I would have those bad dreams. So while you may read whatever you read, while you may think whatever you think, while you may continue to grasp this knowledge and all of this wealth of the truth of the foundation of the human beings, but still even in the conscious community, they're not on the same page. Even in the Kemetic community, everybody's on the same page. Even in Islam, not everybody's on the same page. In Christianity, everybody's on the same page. You can say whatever you want to say about research and history, because the same books that you say are manipulated by us can be manipulated by others. If it's a book written by man, it has 100% chance of being manipulated, just like any other book. So what can we always take? Real life experiences. What happens in your life? What has brought you to the point to where you're at right now? What has brought you to your belief? I appreciate you listening. I just had to get it off my chest. It's the reason why I'm passionate. I'm going to be even more passionate now because I done got it off my chest. Now I don't really care about what people think. I felt like I've done released why I still stand strong and bold no matter what you come on my Facebook post and say. Even though you think Facebook is my life, I do other things and will continue to do other things. I'm not in the business of promoting myself and actually going out and laying this out until I have everything, until I have a game plan. Right now, I'm just formulating it. Extreme over here, extreme over there. I've been to so many different extremes that I believe when I finally get it all centered, I'll be able to balance all of it. And it'll make more sense because I'll have a deeper understanding. So some things that I may say may not make sense to you. They make sense to me. I'll eventually get to where it makes sense to you, but Facebook is not my forum where I'm going to be doing this. Facebook is just a platform where I can try it out. Have a blessed day. Thank you for listening.